Welcome to episode 541 of the Eventing Radio Show, brought to you by the Eventing Riders Association of North America. This week on the show, we are joined by an all-star international field of eventing riders. We have Jennie Brannigan from the United States. Then we're joined by Tim Price all the way from New Zealand, and then Tom McEwen from Great Britain. It's going to be an action-packed show.
I'm Liz Halliday-Sharp, coming to you this week from sunny Florida.
And I'm Paul Tapner, coming to you this week from Wiltshire in the UK.
Joining us now on the Eventing Radio Show, it is international event rider from the USA, Jennie Brannigan. Welcome to the show, Jennie.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
So, Jennie, it's been a roller coaster year for you. You've just come back to competing for the first time since November of 2017, and you hit the ground running with, I think, 7 horses competing at Majestic Oaks and took home a couple of wins. But, obviously it's been a difficult year for you. Can you just explain to our listeners sort of what happened? Give us a little rundown of what's been going on for the last 18 months.
Yeah, of course. Well, I was put on, I've had a lot of concussions between jump racing and eventing, and I've been struggling with some things and concentration and depression and all sorts. You just try to figure out why you're not feeling like yourself. And when you hit your head 7 times in a row, it, ends up catching up with you, I guess. It's a lot easier when you break a bone because you can just put a plate in it and go on your way. But I got put on ADHD medicine, and it was literally the week before the jockey club, and it was my first experience ever being drug tested, and I even wrote down on the thing what I was taking, and I was just a bit, I don't know, it was just stupid about all of it. But it ended up being legal to take the medication, but you have to do the TUE paperwork ahead of time, which I now have, but I had to sit out a year of competition, and luckily the FBI realized that, it was not intentional, and clearly I'm not trying to enhance my performance in some way. So, but it was obviously quite scary because you have no idea how long, the first months, 6 months at least, no idea what's going to happen. So, I mean, it's one thing to say you're going to be off for a year, and I got a little bit lucky, is probably not the right word, but I was a little bit lucky with the timing on a few of my top horses having breaks for different reasons. And, a year you can come back from, 4 years. I'm like, what am I going to do for 4 years? That's a bit. So it's kind of, I'm probably putting it lightly. I mean, I was completely depressed for the first bit. Then I psychotically threw myself into work, which is what I seem to like to do. And luckily, every sponsor in my barn grew. I just stayed busy coaching, and in the end, it ended up being a neat experience, which I know sounds insane to say, but it was pretty surreal. I was going to give the ride to Boyd on Stella Artois for the WEG, and then Lynn was riding SE Lifestyle, and all my staff were competing, my young horses, and it was a very surreal time, and I'm glad that I made it through it, and I'm so grateful to everyone. But it was pretty unreal when you've lived your whole life based around eventing to go, what am I going to do now? Am I going to be a dental hygienist? I haven't gone to college. What? I'm going to be a jump jockey? Go sit into racing because that's something I really love. It was, luckily I didn't have to make that decision. So I think for me, I just said I was sorry from the beginning of it, admitted what I'd done straight away. And so I made peace with it and kind of moved on fairly quickly. And I don't know, I'm lucky. I've worked around a lot of Australian men. When the going gets tough, everyone cracks on. Everyone I look up to work hard, and I just worked harder. And that was the year. Honestly, ironically, ended up going by quite fast once you get over the initial reaction of it. But it was unbelievable.
So, Jennie, of course, it wasn't only you that took the ban. There were 2 other top riders that also were banned for a year. And, of course, Alyssa Phillips is based with you, and Hannah Sue, you're very good friends. And did you all sort of band together and try and make the most of the experience? I mean, I assume they were on a similar they were banned for a similar reason. I mean, it was quite a serious occasion to have certainly two WEG hopefuls on the band in a WEG year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, especially I feel for Hannah Sue, I would say, out of everyone, I mean, I just feel for Hannah because that horse has been in her program for years and they've produced it and Miss Mars bred it. And I really wanted that for Miss Mars and for Hannah. So, not to say that anyone had it easy by any means, but, it was, Hannah and I are good friends. And ironically, Alyssa came to ride with me at the Jockey Club. So I think it probably looks a little bit even weird. Like Hannah and I are notorious best friends. Like we're just everywhere together. But Alyssa just come to ride with me. And I guess it ended up being pretty interesting for me because Alyssa is a great girl and I'm so happy she's in my barn. And her attitude was, she handled it, I think, better than anyone, but she was, I was like, all right, well, this kid's tough. Like if she can handle this, I can. And, just kind of cracked on. But I mean, that was, Hannah loves competing and more than any of it. And like, I'm lucky that I love galloping racehorses and I love the young ones and whatnot. And I teach a lot. And, at first I think that was really hard for Hannah. And it was, I was gutted for her, to be honest. So, it was just, I think for everyone, to be honest, it was a different experience. And, I'm just quite lucky as well. Like, and where I'm at in Unionville, like I keep my horses at Michael Matz's farm and I gallop for him. So there would just be days I didn't even think about it, to be honest. I was like, I do my job and I wake up and I do this and that and whatever. And I was able to just kind of make my own little world, I think that helped. So, Alyssa did some college courses and flew back and forth. And, but, I think Hannah ended up teaching some more as well. And, she teaches Miss Mars's daughter, who's actually in Pennsylvania. So I think it helped that I got to see her a bit. And I'm grateful. I wish it didn't happen to anyone, but I am grateful that I went through it with the girls that I did because, it would have been pretty rough to do that all on your own, not that I wish it on anyone, and it's my own fault, I mean, these are the rules. Like you don't break them. Like I don't have any animosity towards anything. It was my own fault. I should have been smarter and better. So, but it was definitely interesting and different for each person.
So, so Jenny, obviously everybody's going to deal with these sort of things differently, and there's been, over the many years of eventing history, there's been plenty of, positive doping tests. Most of them are found to be accidental or unexplained in their accidental nature. But it doesn't, take away the fact that it's against the rules to compete on those things, and ignorance of the rules, which is perhaps maybe one of the factors in your situation, is not an excuse for it. So you have served your 1 year ban. It's probably slightly, significantly reduced on what it would be as if you were found to be intentionally trying to, like you say, do performance enhancing drugs. So I find it a little fascinating or intriguing that, you stated that it was your first time ever getting tested. I mean, I've been in the sport at a high level internationally for a very long time, and I've lost count how many times my horses have been tested. I've lost count how many times I've been tested. And, for 7 years, I was on a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week drug register with the ASADA, the WADA, World Doping Organization. So it's where I had to fill in where I am. And that's a fairly common thing, if once you get to an elite level of sports people and you're on potential, like you said, two of you are potential WEG team members. When you're on a potential team, that testing's a fairly regular thing. So, I mean, do you think if you had have been tested years ago or previously in your career, it might have made you a bit more aware of all of this sort of thing and made you a bit more cautious? Because
sure. I mean, if I think about it, I haven't done obviously anything here like you, but I've been on 2 Nations Cup teams. I went to the Pan Ams as a traveling alternate. Like I remember them saying then we had to do like fill out where we were or whatever, but I've never been on medication in my life, so that's all. To be honest, all that's kind of new to me. And I cannot tell you how many people have come up to me and told me I was on this at this event. I had no idea it was illegal. I took Sudafed. I didn't know it was illegal. I've had 2 young riders come out to me and say, I was competing 3-star. I'm on ADHD medicine. I had no idea it was illegal until, or you have to have a TUE. At least, you can be on that medication, but you got to have a TUE for it. And so it's kind of interesting. I don't know if that's You would
It
think
does.
that I
It
would have
does wake
been
people
through
up
that
to the
before.
rules. For sure, it does wake
Yeah.
people up to the rules. But do you think? And again, this is just a curious question because I don't know because I've never competed in the States. But is United States as an administrative organization side of things? Are they a little behind in the quantity of testing that goes on there, or is it just you think it's not
I
something
don't
that
think
you
now.
came across?
Now you see, I mean, they're like inundated. It was amazing. Like after that happened, I mean, how many there was pamphlets out at every event and like all these emails and, it was, and I think they did send emails and whatnot, but I mean, I cannot tell you how many event riders I've heard of issues with things. Oh, I didn't win the Thoroughbred Award because I didn't read my emails and then go nuts about not getting the prize money or whatever. I mean, I've heard event riders are not great at reading emails. So I think they've really taken on a very, proactive approach now with it. And I don't think this will ever be an issue again. But it was interesting. And then like the whole TUE process, I mean, I learned a lot. I also learned a lot about my health, so it, like I said, I choose to take out what's the good of it. And I think I kept my sponsors and clients because everyone knows that I'm genuinely just trying to do a good job and be a healthy good person. So, but yeah, it is kind of shocking to me now when people talk about it. I guess I've never been top 3 to 4-star. Like it's just crazy. I've gone all over the world and I've never been drug tested. I've had my horses drug tested, like obviously, but, and I guess, I don't know. I guess I need to think of myself more as an athlete, and I certainly do now. I mean,
It was the first time that I had ever been tested as well, which I was tested at the same event that you were. So I can sympathize with that. But like, let's now just sort of take ourselves to the present. Let's think forward now. You've done your year ban, you're moving on, you have a great team of horses. You've started the season off straight away, the first event of the year, as did I with a couple. So what is the big plans this year? Now that you're up and running, you have some nice horses. What's the big plans for 2019?
Yeah, well, Cavalda, I'm going to keep as mainly Alexa Laps ride. I think my time is maybe 17 this year. I've got a lot of younger horses coming up, so I might run him at a couple feature events like that Aiken showcase and whatnot. But I've got 2 young horses that did a 2-star and 7-year-olds that are lovely, that FE Lifestyle that went for me this year, and a horse named Toilet Less Gleam that was supposed to go to Lyon and then had a bone spur removed, so ironically he was off last year. He's back. So I'm going to name them for the Pan Ams and then do a 3-star this spring on both of them, knock on wood. The Gardners own both of those. And then Stella Artois is back and doing wonderful. I was thinking about taking her to Kentucky, but I think I'll do another 3-star on her just to be safe. I was thinking about Bramham or maybe going to Rebecca Farm. And she did Mill Street and Bromont the year before. So, and then I have a horse named Bella, who was a 3-star horse that was injured. She had a baby and she's coming back. So I'm really excited about her. So there's quite a few Woodstock's Little Nevs aimed at a 2-star. So I'm kind of excited. I've got a lot of horses that were off or injured and have come back this year. So I'm just super pumped about those and trying to do a good job producing them. And I think my highlights with Cavalda over, he's done plenty for me in the Gardners and, might run him here or there, but I get way more enjoyment out of watching Alexa compete him.
Well, Jenny, it sounds like you've got a really exciting string of horses. And like you say, I suppose in some ways, conveniently or inconveniently, a few of them had their injuries and their time off. And I know you said you had a mare that had a baby. At least that all happened while you were off. So in a way, that must give you sort of renewed strength for the year. It sounds like you've got a very busy and exciting year ahead. And I think it's time now that we all just put this whole thing behind us. I'm sure you would like to. And that's why I wanted to get you on the Eventing Radio Show to sort of say that the future is still bright for Brannigan Eventing, and we're moving forward now. So thank you very, very much for being on the Eventing Radio Show. And it's great to have you back on the competition circuit.
Thank you so much for having me. Good to be back. I'm ready.
Springtime supplements have been dedicated to improving the lives of horses with the Springtime brand of supplements, and they've been doing it since 1979. Springtime offers supplements for joint health, immune support, calming, hoof and coat, insect control, and much more. Before we tell you about one of their really interesting products, the ahi flower oil, we thought we need to mention that they have a special just for our listeners of the Eventing Radio Show. You, our listeners, will receive an automatic 15% off and free shipping just for mentioning this show. Be sure to go to springtimeinc.com/eventing or call one of their knowledgeable reps and be sure to mention the discount code EVENTING. So listeners, have you heard about their ahi flower oil? We all know the importance of essential fatty acids for horses, but recently a plant was discovered to provide completely balanced omega-3, 6 and 9, and they call it ahi flower. Now, until now, you have had a few options. You could use fish oil, but let's face it, horses are herbivores. They don't like fish oil. They didn't evolve to consume it. And then there's flax, but ahi flower has been shown in clinical studies to provide better omega-3, 6 and 9 absorption and balance in horses. It's proven to be better than flax or fish. This is the type of expertise that you get from Springtime, who are always at the forefront of the latest research. And don't forget that Springtime also has a full line of canine supplements to keep your dogs at peak wellness also. That website again for that discount code just for our listeners is springtimeinc.com/eventing. Joining us now on the Eventing Radio Show is New Zealand eventing superstar. He's one half of the Price Power couple. It's Tim Price. Tim, welcome to the Eventing Radio Show.
G'day. Thank you for having me. So,
now,
a way to warm up a cold, wintry English day.
Exactly. It is very cold and wintry in England at the moment.
For some of us,
I'm sure you've had a hard day in the office, in that indoor school of yours, going round and round in endless circles on many horses. Is that the drill on a winter's day like today for you, Tim?
I would typically say yes for the since we've been back from Kiwi land. We've been home or back here for a week, just over a week. But today I've travelled up in a train 4 hours north and then collected our horse box, which has been getting a few bits done to it in this quieter time of the year, and trucking back down home. So no, not a typical day for me. But then I actually stumbled across a friend's place on the way down, being Carlos Paro, Brazilian event rider, who I don't get to see very often these days.
That wasn't planned at all, I'm sure, Tim. Yeah, you just had to drive past his place.
You sound like Janelle when I let her know that this was...
What, your wife didn't believe you either? I can't believe that.
She was like, oh, you really good thought of it, you? I see. So, so it's great to catch up with Carlos, have a couple of beers at his place, and I'll be off hopefully to beat the Birmingham traffic early in the morning to get back home and ride my horses tomorrow.
Oh, I see. That's a very good plan. So it's so far. I was slightly concerned about you having a few beers and then driving home. But the drive home will be tomorrow morning in the icy weather, but missing the traffic, ready to ride some horses. So if you don't feel like riding any horses tomorrow because you've had too many beers, you can just blame the icy roads or something of the kind. And Janelle will still disbelieve you, won't she? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, no, because there's no flies on her. Not. Yes, not. I hope she doesn't listen to this anyway.
No, of course she's an avid listener, but it'll be the proof will be gone by then. You'll be fine. We did mention, we've already mentioned, Janelle, you have as well, that the Price Power couple. You guys have had an amazing season, both of you. Just on fire. But yourself, especially, Tim. Third place in the World Rider rankings at the moment. Is that one of your best rankings ever, or is that just standard course?
Yeah, I did a little. It is. I did a skip into number 2 at one point. It was more about others being having not such a consistent time than me, I think. But this feels like a bit more of a well-earned third spot for a wee bit. It's fun and it's a nice yardstick, isn't it? And it was a great season, as you say, and it definitely was. I mean, for both of us, Janelle, I think, would be more in particular with the fact that she came back from a baby and then nailed 2 4-star, now 5 stars. Was incredibly impressive, and we just cracked on with our year, and it wasn't until being back in New Zealand on holiday that it really sinks in where you can really look in retrospect at the year and think how great it was. But
indeed,
now
it was
it's all
great.
about looking forward, isn't it?
All of that, no, not yet. We need a little bit more retrospective thing, and it's great to hear that when you were out in New Zealand that you did, like you say, have time to have a think about what you've done, and the fact that it was so awesome for you guys, because sometimes as event riders, and especially you guys, are so many horses, you're so busy, you're going from, event to event to event. I had a quick look through your competition list from last year, and a vast quantity of horses and a vast quantity of competitions at every single level. Sometimes it's, you don't get a chance to actually savor those wins, and you won Burley, you have a bit of a celebration after that. But like you say, you get out to New Zealand and you can stop and think about all of the 4-star wins and the 3-star wins. And did you do a tally how many winners you had, how many 4 stars, how many 3 stars, or anything like that?
No,
or you
look,
just
no, Peppers, come on, look, it's a good year, and I think the major things there were Badminton and Burley, and of course Lamulin was pretty amazing as well. But to win something, like Burley, I mean, you've held the badminton trophy aloft, and for something like that to be in your year, that's what really took a little bit of sitting down and going, hang on, that was a pretty phenomenal result. And yeah, there was other things that were really fun as well, but that was the one that really felt like I've made a really good notch in the journey through my career, and so yeah, it was good to get back home and see, and there's a lot of other, I guess it's a little bit of emotional thing as well, because you go home and that's what you've left behind in order to be in the UK, so you have to you have a bit of a realization of what it was all about. So yeah, no, it's good. It's really good fun.
So Tim, I know, I'm sure that a lot of our listeners would like a bit more of an insight into what it's like being in the Price Power Couple and what it's like on your yard day to day. Now, sometimes I know that it's maybe you. I know, right? we're trying to sound awesome for the radio. Come on.
Okay.
But I know that sometimes you've had a ride on a horse, and then maybe Janelle's had the ride for a bit, and then of course you rode a few of the horses when she was pregnant. Is there sometimes a bit of a struggle there within the yard? Who rides which horse? Do you guys help each other? Do you kind of do your own thing?
Yeah, I mean, the basis of it is we're got a very healthy relationship. I don't know what the major ingredients in that are, but we do work really well in a working relationship. But obviously we're married, and the two things we manage to keep very separate, and therefore it works. But to answer what you're asking as far as us and horses and how that comes together and continues to be something that we can share a little bit, I think we're just we use each other as a brutal, honest reference point all the way along, as far as all facets of riding and training and everything. And so the same thing, if the horse is not so suitable for Janelle or vice versa, we'll be quite honest with each other about that fact. And there might be a point where the horse gets guided across the other rider. That's one scenario, or the other, like you say, with Janelle being pregnant. I think one of the first major shares of a horse, lending of a horse, if you like, or passing over of a horse, was Flint Star back at 2012 London Olympics. He was my horse, but he just was better with Janelle. They just worked better together, and so she took him on, and consequently went to the games on him there. And and Sekatinka, that was Janelle's horse, but I needed a horse for the World Games, so we had her across to me, and I had her for a year, sort of beyond her when she first came to me, which was when Janelle was pregnant. So there is actually there's a few more I could mention as well, where we've had these crossovers, and it's just something that works, but it's not a back and forth thing. It would be just passing over for a particular reason, and allows the other rider, there's time allowed for that rider to get established with the horse and things, and carry on with whatever the plan might be. I think that's definitely got to be seen as an advantage. So we try to use it as such, and there's a lot of struggles and strains with being two top riders on one arena on a daily basis as well. Don't get me wrong, it has its difficulties, but yeah, we try to stay very focused on what we're trying to achieve, and the fact that it's work and sport, and it seems to go well.
Well, we can't argue, that's for sure. And I love that phrase that you put, the brutally honest appraisal of each other. And I can imagine that unless you're New Zealand and possibly or Australian, that brutal honesty, some people wouldn't be able to take it, but it is probably a particularly New Zealand or Australian feature of us. So, but no,
it's true. Yeah,
you've it's great to know that all of those little insights about how you work, and like you say, you're able to keep your family life separate from your work life. But presumably, you've just had a whole heap of fun family time out in New Zealand. With all three of you.
Yes, mate. It's been really good fun. It was a thoroughly enjoyable holiday. I mean, having little Otis along with us and sharing him amongst our broader family was just a real thrill. It felt like a very long 2 years, because we tend to go back. We try to go back every couple of years, and this last couple of years felt like an eternity. So it felt very overdue, and going back and having a good cruise around the South Island, which is where we're both from, and like I say, with family, I mean, we went to the beach. We plonked ourselves at the beach at the top of the South Island for over 2 weeks, and I mean, it was just bliss. We just had a little humble batch, but only 6 footsteps from the beach, and I think Otis had about 7 cousins, just another batches around and about the place, and everyone someone would come and grab him, and off he'd go with his cousins up the road, and we'd go for a wander down the beach or a swim or whatever. It was just a great family time, and beautiful country that we miss a lot. We got to have some nice weather too, so it was a good trip home. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I was going to say it was probably a much needed break after a very busy year, but surely around this time of year, I think everybody starts to get ready for the new season and get excited about it. And Tim, I'm going to ask you something important that I ask a lot of our professional riders on the show. I'm going to ask you for your number one top training tip, which Tappers loves, and say that 5 times fast. Yes, so it can be anything you hold close to you that you bring with you to every horse that you train, or something special that you take on to the young ones. Anything that you feel is your top training tip.
Top training tip. In a nutshell, that's a difficult one, because it's such a diverse sport, isn't it? The good horses can come out of nowhere, and I think that's something that I've learned only through time. You try to figure out what the common recipe is to a good event horse, and the more you learn, the more you realise there isn't one. So that's a bit of a disguised tip there. I think, where should I go? I mean, we've got 3 phases of the game. I think with the show jumping, because that's where things are won or lost. I think we've put a tip in with the show jumping. And for me, it would be very much a matter of going into a very relaxed place in my mind once I have rehearsed what I have set out for myself to achieve in that round. And then when I actually go in, I encourage myself to stop thinking and just casually wait for the bell to go. Canter in like it's just a bit of a fun thing, and it's just you, and you pick it up and you just go searching for the first fence, and just make your way around. Really as simple as that. I think if we put, I don't, there's a real importance for making a plan and rehearsing that plan in your head and being very disciplined with that side of it. But if we continue to take that same intensity into our round itself, I think that's where people come out saying, I know I was supposed to do that, and I told myself so many times, and I just didn't do it. I think possibly it can become a block in the moment of the round. So I think there's an important difference to make from your rehearsal fit, mental setup to when you actually go in the ring. That's the time that you've actually got to remember you're there to enjoy it, which then filters through to your horse, which becomes relaxation, which becomes hopefully giving a good performance. So there you go.
I thought that was brilliant, Tim. I really like that. This is my favorite part about the show is hearing what everybody has to say, and we can all learn so much from it. But thank you very much for that, and we're really excited to see what is going to happen this year with both of the prices. Hopefully you'll make some room for some other people to win a 5-star this year, but I'm sure that's not in your plan. And Tim, just quickly before we wind up, is there any way that all of your adoring fans can follow both of you on social media? Have you guys got a website, Instagram, Twitter? Sell yourself, please, to the world.
We're quite simply Team Price on Facebook, and that's the platform we use for both of us. But you can find us on Instagram individually, just with our names, Janelle and I. And then we've got a website that we try to keep very fresh and interesting. Yeah, timandjanelle.com is us. So yeah, go for it. Have a look. Check it out.
Perfect.
The Eventing Riders Association of North America is the collective voice of riders, equine professionals, and owners in pursuit of enhancing the growing sport of eventing in North America. In cooperation with our members, governing bodies, related committees, and organizers, ERA of NA works to improve the overall welfare, safety, visibility, and growth of the sport. ERA of NA, your voice matters for the sport of eventing. Jump in and engage by becoming a member today. Find them online at www.eraofna.com.
Joining us now on the Eventing Radio Show, it is GB eventing superstar Tom McEwen. Tom, welcome to the Eventing Radio Show.
Oh, well, thank you very much for having me.
Now, Tom, you've had an amazing season in 2018. Won a little medal somewhere, I think, along the way, if not quite a few events. So tell our listeners, or just give our listeners a quick recap on what that was, or the highlight. What was the highlight?
Real highlight of this year would have been representing the British team at senior level, probably for my first time. And first time on the big stage at the Worlds. Very much a new experience for me with an amazing young horse called Toledo de Cursa, and coming back with the team gold and individual gold with Ross Cantor. And fantastic week. First time in America for me. And for me, fantastic venue for the horses and great cross-country course and great facilities for the horses. So fantastic first experience.
So, Tom, I mean, what an incredible result for Great Britain, number one. And like you said, your first real team experience. Did you set off at the beginning of the season, really believing that you could be there, or was it just sort of a working progress from the beginning of the year? I mean, the horse has been phenomenal, hasn't he?
Yeah, the horse is phenomenal. It'd been more what I had done on top, really. As a sort of, if you took a list of horses as a horse, he deserves to go. It just depends on what the jockey did on top, really. He'd been phenomenal for a couple of years. It was definitely a target, but not a specific target. It was sort of a target involved on going as well as I can. And obviously, if you go as well as you can, I think you can on a very good horse, then hopefully you're there or thereabouts. But obviously, this year with the British team, there was a lot of competition, and really they could have sent probably a couple of teams that could have gone and done equally as well. And so to be picked one of the five to go out there was phenomenal, really, because the British riders on the whole have got real good strength and depth in horses, and it was a real competition, sort of fight, not a fight to the end, but real competition all the way till sort of selection towards the end of the process, and then just hopefully getting on with the job in hand.
Well, I've got a question for you actually with that in mind, because all the different teams chose their teams, at different times. And I know the United States chose their team quite early. And Great Britain actually chose their team relatively late. I believe it was shortly after Hartbury. And I've always sort of felt in my head that all of you actually compete better, because you'd had to sort of be under pressure that whole time, right up until not long before the games. Do you feel that really made a difference, or was it obviously kind of been that much of a hindrance because you won gold? But you see what I'm saying?
No, I completely say it. For some people, maybe it was a hindrance. For me, my secondary plan would have been Burley, which was it 2 weeks later, 2 weeks before the Worlds. And so really my plan never changed. I was always going to Hartbury. I was always going to run in the same way as I usually do. At one days, which is usually not too fast, but letting him have a nice run and a bit of a play around. And so for me personally, it didn't make a whole lot of difference. Obviously, by that point there's been a long list, and you're sort of in the melting pot, so to speak, for selection. And obviously you want to know, owners want to know. And obviously, like you said, a lot of other teams had already been selected, and we were definitely one of the later ones. But I think with that in mind, there were a lot of horses that had proven an awful lot, and it wasn't like choosing young horses that still needed to prove stuff. So, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people out there that have picked several different sort of team of 5 to go, but that was the team of 5 to go, and it was sort of, in my eyes, would probably be the right decision towards the end of it.
And so, so of course that's happened, selections happen, amazing, and you go to Tryon, your first trip ever to the United States. Tryon is an incredible facility. I've been lucky to compete there myself. But of course, I think a lot of things weren't really finished, and it must have been a little bit of an odd experience. Was that an issue for all of you as a team? All the bits and pieces that weren't quite completed and various things happening, or were you able to just embrace the moment and enjoy being at the World Equestrian Games? It's such a wonderful facility.
For me, I could definitely enjoy it. Obviously, first experience is a massive shame that everything wasn't ready, because I think it could have been absolutely incredible and sort of one really to remember for every single one of the right reasons. But at the same time, I thought sort of for eventing anyway, sort of like the field of play for the horses anyway was absolutely spot on. Sort of the surfaces and arenas are amazing. The conditions for cross country were actually very good in the end, and the ground was very good. And actually, the stables, I know they're all permanent already, and they were very good for the horses. Just it was an odd experience driving an hour to a hotel every day, but it didn't seem to worry. It didn't seem to worry me too much. Luckily, Piggy had caught a bit of flu off Max, who's her kid, and I seemingly picked that up off her. So I was feeling a bit rough for the sort of 10 days we were out there, but that probably took the edge off thinking about too much else. But yeah, I really enjoyed my experience, and something that I'll always remember. I think for Tyrone, it's a shame for them.
Yeah.
Tryon, yeah. It's a shame for Tryon that not everything was ready, because I think it could have been seriously special. But at the same time, I thought they did a great job. And the eventing came to the forefront with a lot of people there for Cross Country Day. So, very exciting, really.
And it's a little bit of a shame, really, now, isn't it, that there's not going to be all the different equestrian sports within one World Equestrian Games now, isn't it? I mean, I'm not sure if that's thoroughly been confirmed, but from what I know, eventing will now be separate. Do you think that's ultimately going to be better for our sport, or is it sad to lose, all those other sports around you? It must have been great to be able to watch the different, all the different disciplines.
Yeah, I was very lucky. I did pony in young rider teams, sort of European teams. And at pony level, when I was younger, we did it with the dressage and the show jumpers, and it was amazing because you could go and watch them. Everyone's the same level, age roughly, and go and see what they're doing and what the ponies are jumping, and the dressage test, the pure dressage ponies are doing. And I think it'd be a huge loss. I think, because it's something very, very special. I know it's hugely expensive. But I think at the same time, to be able to show all those disciplines right at the top of their level is a real shame not to be able to have them all in one place. But at the same time, I know it's very expensive, but it might not change it too much, because sort of, if I look at like in the Europeans, where eventing is individual, it's still pretty special over here, and a lot of people go and watch it, and it's followed quite heavily as well.
what always just makes me think a little bit, because I myself was on the reserve list for the US team for Tryon, and obviously I didn't end up going. And then I heard that it was all going to change, and it's kind of it's a little bit sad when you haven't represented your nation beyond like Nations Cups, and you're so close, and then suddenly it's going to all change. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I was interested in what the impression is being there, because that was sort of always my dream of a World Games, is being able to be around all the different disciplines, and that sort of felt like what it was supposed to be. So I suppose from my standpoint, I'm a little bit sad that it's going to change.
I completely agree with you. There's nothing cooler than sort of, especially for me, because like any sport, and when it's a question of any other sport, any sport at top level is all pretty unbelievably amazing. And so we were there with the dressage guys, and the jumpers came right at the end of our time. So being there with all of them, all at the top of their game, and being able to go and watch them warm up in a bit of spare time, and I'm very lucky to have experienced it, and I think I'd feel exactly the same way as you, and I think I still do now, because I think it would be a shame if it was completely lost. It'd be nice to be able to keep the Olympic disciplines, I would have thought, together, but obviously, money and venues and things like that obviously come into play that are far beyond what I know.
Oh, it is. And you know what? Even every winter now that I come here, I'm like, what? We're eventing in a few weeks? Like at Christmas time, you know? You think, hang on a minute, I'm just getting through the holidays. But from your standpoint, obviously you're into the winter of 2019, must be looking forward to another busy year with lots of good horses. What are you up to at the moment? Have you been off show jumping, or are you doing a bit of British dressage through the winter to get prepared, or are you still just kind of brushing off the dust from the winter?
So really with my horses, they don't have that long off. They come back in a lot of walk cacking, so they've all actually up and ready for a while. So I was even having dressage lessons before Christmas even came. And at the moment, last weekend we were at a 3-day jumping show at Addington, so out doing shows, jumping and dressage, a lot of training, getting in a lot of those things that are just nearly nigh on impossible during the season when you're very busy. And soon we've got sort of our world-class training all geared up towards sort of the Europeans this year. And it's training away, finding out a few things about horses, a few new horses. I do the yard, so it's all very exciting at the moment.
Oh, wow, sounds very, very busy. And have you got a special horse in mind for the Europeans this year? Have you got a few new ones to your string, you said?
Got a few new ones. They are slightly younger horses. Obviously, I've got Toledo de Cursus still. Sadly, we lost Mike Smartley just after the New Year from colic, which was a real shame to see that very special horse.
Oh, that's terrible.
Which is a real shame, but sadly things do happen, and it's a massive loss to the whole yard and the whole team, really. But yeah, we're very lucky, and we've got a lot of other horses coming up through. A lot of horses that have been new to sort of it'll be 4-star level next year, and really really exciting. Got a lot of nice sort of 8-9-year-olds coming up through, 7-8-9-year-olds coming up through that are all stepping up. A lot in the same sort of division at the moment, and then a lot of nice young horses below that.
Well, it sounds like you're going to definitely have a very busy year ahead of you, and hopefully it'll warm up for you soon. I won't tell you what the temperature is like here in Florida at the moment, but thank you very much for being on the video. Oh, yuck. So actually, before we sign off, I'm going to actually ask you what I asked Tim Price as well, because it's my favorite question to ask, and Tappers can't give me a hard time because he's not on anymore at the moment. So I like to ask our top professionals for their number one top training tip. And this can be anything that you just really think is important that you bring with you to all your horses, or it can be something specific to one of the phases in eventing. Whatever you feel is the number one top training tip.
I think with my training and the way we go about things, I think it's basically just repetition and patience, really. Sort of not just seeing a horse as an age, thinking that's a level, it's sort of waiting for the times right, and sort of repetition is just going over and over the same stuff just to sort of make it spot on, so you know every time it's there, ready and waiting, really. And that's about as much to my trading really as it goes, really. It seems a bit blasé and basic, really.
Well, I don't think so. You'd be amazed at all the different answers we get, but sometimes it's the basic little things like that are the making of a champion. And of course, this is what people want to hear from someone like yourself who's just won a gold medal for Team GB. So thank you very much, Tom. It's been a pleasure to have you on the Eventing Radio Show, and we look forward to seeing you back in the UK later this year.
Thank you very much for having me, and good luck tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to the Eventing Riders Association of North America podcast. You can learn more about the Eventing Riders Association of North America at their website, eraofna.com. You can find the links to today's guests and topics at eventingradio.com. You can follow Eventing Radio on Facebook. Just search for the Eventing Radio Show, and we are on Twitter at Eventing Radio. You can listen to the Eventing Radio Show anytime, anywhere with the free Horse Radio Network app for iPhone and Android devices. Just go to your app store and search Horse Radio Network. And of course, you can also subscribe via iTunes. Thanks again to our sponsor of this show, Springtime Supplements. Don't forget that awesome deal they have for you. Mention the Eventing Show when you're placing your order for a 15% discount and free shipping from Springtime Supplements.
I'm Liz Halliday Sharp, and you can follow me on Facebook, Liz Halliday, on Twitter, @Liz Halliday, on Instagram, Liz Halliday Sharp, and of course on our website, hseventing.com.
And I've been Tappers in Your Ears, and you can follow me on all of the social media channels as well, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. I'm not going to tell you the handles because I want to see who actually listens to the end of the show, and I want someone to give me a tweet or a Facebook or an Instagram comment. But anyway, thanks for listening.